CBT News is expanding its reach like never before and is launching in over 70 million broadcasting households. Whether you have Roku, Apple TV, or a mobile device running on Android or iOS, you can now enjoy our engaging, in-depth interviews with dealers, automakers, trade associations, best-selling authors, motivational speakers, and so much more, whenever and wherever you are. Simply search CBT News in the App Store of your smart TV. Welcome to CBT News with Cheyenne Malone.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to CBT News. I'm Cheyenne Malone. Thanks so much for watching. And now here's today's top stories.
Stellantis reported a 10% year-on-year decline in profits during the second half of 2023 due to a 6-week strike at the Detroit 3 automakers. North America's operating income during that time was $5.656 billion, down 16%. Despite this, industrial free cash flow rose 19% for the full year, to a record $13.797 billion. In addition, Stellantis predicts a positive figure for 2024, as the industrially available liquidity stands at $65.6 billion. General Motors is expanding its Super Cruise advanced driver assistance system, allowing drivers to take their hands off the steering wheel on certain roads. The technology now covers nearly 750 miles of compatible roads in the US and Canada, helping to gain consumer trust in the future of transportation. The progressive inclusion of the new roadways has already begun over the air and will continue until 2025 at no additional cost. This expansion will be available for most Super Cruise-equipped cars, except the Cadillac XT6, the Cadillac CT6, and the Chevrolet Bolt EUV. Lithia Motors recently revealed a record-breaking revenue of over $31 billion for the year, with $7.7 billion generated in the fourth quarter alone. During the recent fourth quarter 2023 earnings conference call, CEO Brian DeBoer stated that new vehicle sales and after-sale services drove growth despite declining gross profits per unit for new cars. However, the company currently plans to increase profitability, broaden client solutions, and reach its $50 billion short-term revenue goal. Bollinger Motors, an electric commercial vehicle manufacturer, has selected LaFontaine Automotive Group as its inaugural commercial dealership. Through this partnership, LaFontaine sites in Lansing and Farmington Hills, Michigan, will be able to provide the Bollinger B4 chassis cab, a cutting-edge all-electric Class 4 commercial truck. LaFontaine reports that after the acquisition, their portfolio consists of 39 retail sites and 54 retail franchises, with more announcements slated for later in 2024. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back with Jay Baer, author, advisor, Hall of Fame keynote speaker, and business growth and consumer experience researcher. He's here to discuss how dealers can utilize, quote, talk triggers to their advantage.
CBT News is expanding its reach like never before and is launching in over 70 million broadcasting households. Whether you have Roku, Apple TV, or a mobile device running on Android or iOS, you can now enjoy our engaging, in-depth interviews with dealers, automakers, trade associations, best-selling authors, motivational speakers, and so much more, whenever and wherever you are. Simply search CBT News in the App Store of your smart TV.
Talk to us about talk triggers for those who aren't familiar with them. What are they? What do they mean?
Cheyenne, I think everybody understands that word of mouth is an important way to gain and keep customers. I don't think that's big news, but it's probably more important than people even assume. More than half of all purchases are influenced by word of mouth in some way. However, despite that being true, almost every business of any size, shape, or description lacks an actual word of mouth strategy. We tend to just take it for granted. We think, well, if we run a good business, people will naturally talk about us, right? except that's not how people actually behave. We don't talk about good. I wouldn't be like, hey, Cheyenne, let me tell you about this thing that happened to me last night. It was perfectly adequate. Like, nobody ever tells that story because it's not a story. So a talk trigger is a strategic, proactive system that is designed specifically to create conversations amongst your customers, and every business should have one.
So how does it work?
So what you want to do is first understand that we ignore what's average and we discuss what's different. Okay. So you have to understand that your talk trigger, the thing that people are going to chatter about, is probably not your core product and service. Okay. So your talk trigger is something that you do that customers don't expect. Because if they expect it, why would you tell other people about it? So I'll give you an example. There's a business in Sacramento called Skip's Kitchen, and they are a hamburger restaurant. There's lots of hamburger restaurants, of course, and they even have really good hamburgers, but there's a lot of people with good hamburgers. Skip's Kitchen, however, has a talk trigger. So the way it works is when you go in there, so menu kind of board, right? So as a counter service, you walk in and you look above and it's like, I want a patty melt and fries and a chocolate shake. So after you order, but before you pay your money, the counter person whips out a deck of playing cards from under the counter and fans them out face down like at a casino and looks you right at the eye and says, Cheyenne, pick a card. And you pick a card. And if you get a joker, your entire meal is free.
Woohoo!
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're ordering for yourself or for like an entire like high school soccer team.
Oh.
And on average, 4 people a day win this game and they go crazy. But everybody talks about it because everybody gets a chance to play. If you look at the reviews for Skip's Kitchen on Google and Yelp and TripAdvisor, they always talk about this game. And in fact, in Sacramento, despite the notion they have a giant digital like neon sign out front that says Skip's Kitchen, in Sacramento, people tend to call it that Joker restaurant.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
In 12 years, Cheyenne, they have spent a grand total of $0 on advertising ever. And there's a line out the door every day. Because if you get this right, if you get your talk trigger right, it allows you to spend less on advertising and marketing because your customers will do that job for you.
And be sure to watch this full interview right here at cbtnews.com. Well, that wraps up our show for today, but we do invite you right back here tomorrow morning on cbtnews.com. And remember, you can stay up to date with the most recent news and trends influencing the retail automotive industry by following us on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm Cheyenne Malone. Thanks so much for watching. You have a good one.
CBT News, your #1 resource for auto industry news and content. CBT News is expanding its reach like never before and is launching in over 70 million broadcasting households. Whether you have Roku, Apple TV, or a mobile device running on Android or iOS, you can now enjoy our engaging, in-depth interviews with dealers, automakers, trade associations, best-selling authors, motivational speakers, and so much more, whenever and wherever you are. Simply search CBT News in the App Store of your smart TV